In terms of agenda, you should have received the agenda within the meeting invite. So we'll just go through that. I don't know if there's any introduction you need to make, Rachel or Dave, or anything like that before we get going.
No. I think we're okay, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we all kind of know what we're talking about. So the first one is the Golden Thread Working Group update. I've not actually been to the Golden Thread Working Group yet, but I know then there is one in a couple of weeks, isn't there?
There's it gets a little bit complex because we've got, what a surprise, because we've got the Golden Thread Working Group, which has kind of spun off the Golden Thread Task Force. So the main update is on the Golden Thread Task Force. The last Golden Thread Working Group was primarily on the task force, which is a group of people which we're still recruiting for. The idea being that these are people who are expert, who have already achieved the level of knowledge or at least awareness of what needs to be done to satisfy the golden thread at all stages from start to finish. I haven't got a presentation of that. George always does this, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. So that is something, we've got the first proper meeting for that on the 12th of June. So if anybody's interested in coming along to that, put task force in the chat and we'll get you an invite. As I said, the idea is that it's about, we're launching a badge with that called Golden Thread Awareness. So to kind of make sure that the knowledge and the awareness of what's going on is disseminated. It's getting it out into, a lot of the people who come to our meetings, they know. Not all of them, and a lot of people are very new, but they know where we're coming from. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at our meetings in some way, to some extent. But it's about how to get it out to the supply chain of operations you're working with, and to get it disseminated throughout your business. And the best way of doing that, we touched on that, Bex, didn't we, yesterday in the advisory meeting, which was again quite interesting. The advisory group was always a bit of a misnomer because people never quite understood what it was. It was advisors, but what does that mean? So we've renamed it the Advisory and Consultancy Group, because it's about basically consultants. It can be internal people who advise, but generally speaking, they're externals. And the best way of those external people, I don't call them outsourcing, I call them resourcing. Those external resources, how best they can manage the process on what the process should be in terms of educating their clients as to what should be done, why it should be done, and how we ensure that the consultants are also doing the right thing. So that's what we're working on with. We're early stages. We've identified various elements that need to be looked at, and the next meeting we will be chopping that down to make it bite-sized chunks. So that's kind of a very rough overview of where we've got to in those things. It's rough because they're new and we're in process. They're happening already, but we're not at a stage to say, right, we've done this, because we haven't yet. But if you're interested in, obviously, the task force, just put task force in the chat and we will get you included.
And in terms of the group itself, how's the split between all the different groups that it's coming from? Because obviously there's lots of different, you've got your ops group, you've got your consultants group. Is it fairly well split, or is it quite, specific people who want it more?
No, I think it should. I mean, you brought up the yesterday about post handover. That's also important. And we were talking about people, consultants need to get engaged earlier on, which, I mean, everybody agrees on that. It just doesn't happen for a number of reasons. And that's about education, because there's a risk in employing consultants early and then the project doesn't go ahead. But compared with the risk of getting stuff wrong, and then suddenly you bring a consultant to sort it out right, you know, that's a balancing act. But I think most people would agree, or certainly most consultants would agree, it's better to get in early. Likewise, there's a lot of talk that, you know, the maintenance side of things should be included right from the start. It should be included. There's because at the end of the day, that's what you're aiming towards. That's what everybody's aiming towards, a building that is effective, efficient and safe. Well, who's going to be running that operation? It's going to be the operations group, isn't it? It's going to be the people actually organising and maintaining the property and running the property. So it makes sense to have their expertise early on. So it's run the gamut. So I would say yes, it is everybody. This is a BIM4Housing initiative rather than a BIM4Housing initiative. Well, BIM4Housing is not just across industry. It's not just housing. It's also, you know, asset management, which is obviously in the end game is going to be the asset managers and the maintenance people, the ops people.
Yeah, and like you said, the golden thread goes across the whole life cycle. So you've got your gateways before construction, but most importantly is the 30 years of operation
Exactly.
that you need to bring that information through to. So yeah, it's really important to have the people who are operating the buildings know what they're asking for. Otherwise, it's not going to work as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, from the early BIM4Housing days, what we're about is breaking down these silos. It's about communication. It all comes down, you know, to a large extent. It's about communication, how we communicate, standardizing things. What that's all about is communication, isn't it? It's about the communication, whether it's human communication or technological communication.
Yeah, does anyone else have anything they'd like to talk about in terms of the golden thread side of things? I'm not sure whether anyone has anything. Who have we got? We've got Letitia and Dimitri.
Yes, I am here.
Hiya.
Hello.
So what do you think, Dimitri? As you said earlier, you've not been around for a few months. Where do you think we're going? Excuse me, in terms of the golden thread, and you know your understanding, and what's your role actually, Dimitri? What company?
I have my own company here in Bucharest, Romania. We do project management consultancy for construction projects, including BIM consultancy.
Okay.
We are quite behind with our legislation in terms of what was developed in the UK following the fire at Grenfell Tower. So I'm interested a little bit on that matter. We have a new law on fire protection here this month. Last month entered in. So I don't know so much of the golden thread, but I think there are measures to prevent fires like Grenfell, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you can get ahead of the legislation, can't you, Dimitri? You can actually get ahead of the legislation.
Yes, we want to do that. Basically, I'm specialized in Kobe. I'm Kobe
Excellent.
Technical manager. I did my training at the University of Florida, and I am preparing an article for Kobe based on this new legislation that entered this last month. So
Excellent.
thank you for allowing me to join.
It's great. And if you've got anything to input to any point, please pop your hand up, and you know, that's what this whole group is about. It's about sharing knowledge and experience. So please chime in.
I will.
Letitia.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Information Manager, Document Control Manager for Bouygues UK. I've been working with BIM Information Management and try to understand what will be requested from us. It's a little bit early. We need to, unfortunately for us, we will need to fail. We will need to go to all this getaway and to hand over this project. We are still not really 100% sure of what has been requested for us. We went to the getaway. We have been submitting information. We've been rejected with too many information submitted. We resubmitted. We've been successful for yet. But if we made a checklist, if we had now a full visibility of how we want to manage our information, we are still work in progress, and I think we will need to at least hand over 1 or 2 projects to feel confident with this golden thread. We don't know how it will be working when we will be handing over our project. We did the getaway one, like most of the people have done that yet. We are working in the ISO 19650. We've been including it into one single source of information. That what we are speaking about is making sure that all the information is still updated in time to time. For that, we are not just blocking gateway 1. We have like a kind of like a magic pot when it's a generic submission, when we just update our information time to time. But again, too much information, too much, how I can say that there's a lot of people which are thinking and which wants to make it, better. We are working more in the BIM environment. We have the asset in terms of BIM, that it's like making sure finding one way to work the best possible, knowing that today we don't have one software which can do everything in the same time.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think that's kind of what we are trying to achieve with all of this, is that standardized understanding, standardized approach, working together across the industries to make it simplify it, but not simplify it, if you see what I'm saying, making sure that we all know what we're doing and what we need to do, and we're doing it in a sensible way.
Yeah, again, I think we will need to fail. We will need to understand exactly what is expected from us, having a little bit more visibility from the other side, because there's a lot of work from contractor and from our part to try to answer the question, but it has not been very clear in the other part to tell us exactly what is expected from us. That I think we will have a little bit more visibility and clarity over the next 6 months, but I think we will need to go through and to try to have a better understanding of what is expected. Client side, very stressed about that. Client want as build information, they still don't understand this rebate stage system. They doesn't really know what is expected from us. I think they are very stressed in the other hand to add more and more specialists to check the information, to review the information, that we need to try to explain to us, explain to them what is going on, trying to give them a little bit more clarity and visibility, even if for us we're still a little bit in the dark. And I'm joining to try to see what you are putting together, guys, and try if I can have some insight, and if I can obviously bring you my understanding of the system.
Letitia, sorry, where are you? Where are you from?
I'm from France, Paris, and yes, I'm working in an international company.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just to you and Dimitro, we are actually in the process of setting up an international group, which I think you'll find very interesting. Not instead of this, please come to this, but in addition, I think that could be quite useful for you because it's targeted people outside the UK. We've got people
But
from
just
Hong
to be
Kong all over
clear,
the place.
I am working
Yes.
for Bouygues in the UK. My company is in the UK, and all my
Okay.
projects are a UK project. Okay, I
Got
am
it.
French. I
Okay.
have a very strong accent, but I am working
No,
in
it's
London,
right.
and all my projects are very much like UK based.
Got
Yeah,
it.
Specialist
Okay.
in residential. Yeah, for that we're working.
I worked that out when you started talking about the gateways, and I thought, oh,
Yeah.
you're definitely working in the UK. Yeah, yeah.
And in terms of your clients, so you mentioned them just now, they're stressed and about what is required and all of that. How are you managing that? And what is your view on how the clients are managing it? Because obviously this is the ops group, so we kind of want to have that view from your side of things as well on how people who operate the building
I
are
kind of
currently doing
have a
it.
feeling, but this is just my feeling, that we had kind of like a slowdown in the business in construction. You know, some projects were supposed to start this year, last year, and they've just decided to wait a little bit, making sure that their system is updated. We have a lot of explanation to do because everything is coming at the same time, that we're speaking about the golden trade of information, about the BSA, you know, the different gateway. We are speaking about ISO 19650, which has been added to it, that we have people which were working in the early BS 1192. You need to explain the rebase stage. You need to explain the different suitability code. You need to explain that there is no such a thing as build information anymore. So there is a lot of explaining to do, a lot of communication about what will happen, workflow validation, how we are managing our information. We're speaking about one single source of information, what kind of EDMS you would like to use, how we can make it work, because as contractor, we can just strongly recommend one software to be in use, but some clients have their own software that we're speaking about, A-Site, Viewpoint for Project, and other. We have also in terms of BIM, how we are managing our TIDP. This is very difficult for us also because clients now have full visibility of the TIDP. We are speaking about a golden trade of information. We need to make sure that the consultant, but everybody is on board and knows what will be submitted. This needs to be also updated in their TIDP, and this TIDP needs to be managed a little bit more like outside of the Excel fashion way. That we have different software. I don't know what you are using. We try with Mortar. We used different software, which is allowing us also to manage this new, also like online version of the MIDP, TIDP, and more difficult for us subcontractor, design subcontractor. And I think everybody in the UK will be okay to say, we can make the best standardized version, the best way of working, but we need also to know who can work with us.
And it's interesting you said about software. So from your side of things, obviously you use software, bringing it from, you know, the development side all the way through to handover. Does the clients you work with, do they have any requirements of, do you sell them the software? Do you know, what happens to that at that crossover point to operations?
I think it's the same for everybody. When you are bidding, you are proposing the different software you can use. We have our favorite one, obviously. If the client is bringing his software as like a must go, we have no choice to work on it. For that, we add some of the software, like we'll say, like as an ETMS, for example. We have seen that A-Site sometimes is a favorite one, and but in number one, in terms of BIM, we will try to have something to explain from very early stage. We had multiple projects when we try to put it, as we said, very early stage, making sure that all the asset is put in one place. PTSs are speaking to each other. Yeah, we've been working with different companies, and we try to standardize the same way as you, having one. It's difficult to say, but having the A list of the consultant, subcontractor, and partner we can work with, and we feel totally secure that they understand what is expected from them. I think it's like the must today, I suppose. I don't know how you are doing, guys. What is visibility for you for this golden thread of information with, as you were saying, we were speaking about standardizing and having we'll say a list, a checklist. Is it something you've put in place today?
We haven't, I don't believe we put in place something solid like that, but I think, you know, that's the overarching idea, is to increase that understanding and get to that point. Have you shown interest in going to that Golden Thread task force? Because I think it might be really useful. I think it would cover quite a lot of the things that you're working on as well. So I think Richard said, if you fancy joining that, just put task force in the chat, and then they'll work out adding you to the invite list.
I think I am already on it.
Nice one.
I was adding to this one, and just wanted to pop up to see what is said, a little bit more like of my interest. Was not looking to spend that much.
No, Dave, do you have anything to say?
No, I was going to say, I mean, just on that checklist point, we have a Regulation 38 checklist, which we use for new development, specifically for those Regulation 38 requirements. And we go through that. I mean, the thing is, when it comes to components, and I while we were talking there, I thought I'd just do a quick count. So, I mean, I can probably perhaps share my screen if I can pull this up, just as a for interest's sake. That one there. Let's see. Let me know if you can see that. Yeah, so this is our this is our data dictionary that we use for our asset management system, because we built at Origin, well, PFP we are now. We built an asset management system from scratch in Dynamics 365, and so we had to go and have a look at all of the components that needed to be in there, whether they were components that were derived from stock condition surveys, or ones that were to do with compliance, or just general components, you know, things like, you know, aerials and satellite dishes and gardens, etc. And you can see from here, I think we've got, basically, if I scroll down, we have got 342 components that we need to get information on when a new development comes across to us. And obviously that's 342 named components, but there are multiple instances of those. So you can imagine over an entire building how many bits of information we need, you know, because obviously if you've got communal windows, there could well be 50, 60 communal windows, of which you've got to make a note of the, you know, the make, model, size, you know, all these different parameters that you want to capture within those things. And even looking at fire safety, if I go into fire safety here, there's 34, I think, 34 components there, of which, once again, you might have multiple instances of these. When it comes to external structure, you know, just the base level information, there's 31 external structure things. There's, you know, what are we talking, 22 electrical things. Not to mention, then we've got doors, so you can see And there are things obviously that aren't, that specific to safety, but they are to things like stock condition surveys where we have life cycles, asset management life cycles, as to when we would replace a bathroom or a kitchen or something like that. So yeah, you can
basically, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
These are part of the pick list in Kobe, right?
Yeah, so basically this, should we actually get completed Kobe information, we would expect to have the information on these components in the Kobe. Yeah. But
Basically,
yeah,
you extracted this from the Uniclass tables that are part of Kobe.
Yeah, interestingly, we expect where possible to get the Uniclass identifiers, but the thing is, as practitioners, so people that work in compliance, in asset management, in planned maintenance, in repairs, they tend to use the naming convention that they're used to using. So we have done sort of translations between what would be in IFC as far as what they're called, the names of them, compare them to the sort of more parochial names that we would use in the field. So basically they all, if you like, exist in the standards, but not necessarily in the same format, if you like, or the same name. Yeah. There are always slight differences. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, but I thought it'd be worth just sharing the fact that that's the level of, and the amount of information that we're trying to collect on every new development. It's it is pretty
Great job.
Yeah.
And I guess my question to that is for Dimitri and Letitia, I mean, is that the kind of detail that you usually see in clients, or is that far beyond, or actually is it not as much as you usually see?
The answer? Okay, so we didn't go so far to create data dictionaries, but we do classify items in what we could deliver as Kobe so far on this market. We are right at the beginning. We did projects, but the aim is to have something like this, to have data dictionaries, basically classifications and attributes for clients, and also to charge clients if they don't have something like this. And 99.99% don't have something like this, and should be a good business, but it's not a specific requirement so far here in Romania. The market is the very beginning. Sorry, I have to take a phone call.
Oh, no
Sorry.
problem.
Thank you.
That's fine. Letitia, do you have anything further to say before we move on to probably something that's very much in line with what we're talking about anyway? Fabulous. Right, so the next item on the agenda is digital integration of handover information. So I think Dave's kind of helped us into that one a little. Yeah, so what it says here is we discuss on how operational teams are managing fragmented digital handover data from multiple contractor apps and tools, and then the consistency of spatial referencing and data integration. So I guess, Letitia, what's your experience with the different tools used by different contractors as well? How does that impact the handover of your information?
I'm not. I will say, like, depending on how you're working. For us with like one EDMS, all the 2D information is in one place. In terms of the BIM information, we again we are working on the same software to comment on review the information. In terms of the asset, we try to make it very useful. Like for that, what in terms of the asset and the handover, depending on the requirement from the client, we'll say today the best tools is. We are very early stage, but for yet it has been more taking the technical sheet and put it back into the BIM model, which is like requiring a lot of data manipulation. For yet, I don't have like a good system in place when everything will be automatically, filling up the BIM model and making it easy for everybody. They need a lot of manipulation, a lot of little hand to take out this information and put it back into the system. In terms of like, how our consultants are working, they're working into one single source of information, as we said. More difficult in terms of subcontractor getting the information. I suppose that in the next 5-7 years, we will see like better use of the digital, we'll say like a system. Today, we have a lot of subcontractors which are not very good with BIM information, and a lot of design subcontractors which are struggling also to update their information. It's why it's very important to know when you start a contract, to know who you are signing with, and making sure that your partner, your design subcontractor, your consultant have also the knowledge and the capacity to support in this way.
Great, thanks. And so it seems like you guys have got a really good process to make sure that it avoids that. Dave, because you accept this information, how do you manage it?
Badly is probably the answer. I mean, what tends to happen is, and this is always, and going back to what was said earlier around the use of COBie, we don't tend to get COBie, or we get incomplete COBie, which means we have to sort of trawl through documentation in order to, pick out the information that's relevant to us and to our components in order to manage the building. And it takes a long time to do that, because, as as said, if saying what I said earlier, where if you just take communal fire doors, for argument's sake, there could be 40 of those in a building or more, and of 3 or 4 different types, and having and then trying to find which type belongs where in the building takes a lot of work, because invariably it's either hidden in documentation or hidden in spreadsheets.
So
it's just throwing bodies at the work, basically. That's half the problem, is trying to convince people that this isn't a quick job. It needs someone dedicated to doing that, as a full-time post, and maybe a team of people doing it as full-time posts.
It's interesting, because obviously it is heavy on the whole, making sure the cross-checking information, and I wonder how many operational teams understand that and have invested in that team that you're talking about, because that will save money over the course, and it has so many benefits, which we all know in this group anyway. So it'd be interesting to know what other I know that we haven't got a lot of operational people in this meeting, but it'd be interesting to know, like, just for the sake of the notes, what other people are doing and what their teams look like. Has anyone got anything further on that handover information piece?
Yeah, one thing I guess I could share, since we're talking about it, is we were talking about the checklist earlier on. So this is our Regulation 38 checklist. So you can see here that the key thing around the fire safety structure, with as far as the strategy, etc., escape strategies, passive fire measures, compartmentation. And once again, you can see here where we talk about the position and level. So that's spatial information, cavity barriers, fire doors, communication systems, CCTV, which isn't a mandatory thing, but you would expect it to be there, signage, emergency lighting. So we have to go through this with any new building to check that we've got all of this information basically before we can sort of say we've got all the information to say that we fulfill the requirements of Regulation 38. And as I said, and that's just covering fire safety, not necessarily, structural safety as far as external elements of the walls and things. So, even filling that one checklist out takes a lot of time to make sure we've got everything.
Dimitri, did you want to add something?
No, I don't think so. I think you're covering it fine, actually.
Me, if I want to say something, in terms of handover of documentation, or this was the question. This was discussing right now.
So we're just chatting about the digital handover information and how that's managed.
Yes, this is a struggle around here because most of the projects are delivered on paper. So paper is omnipresent. But we as a company made some difference and delivered even Kobe, but we delivered digital with digital signature, electronic signature with digital certificate, which I think is essential. I know in the UK is not so important to formalize with this basically there if you deliver electronically in the common data environment, nobody questions the authenticity of the document. Here is a lot of discussion around that, so they require electronic signature, although nobody applies this law to electronically sign, they still prefer to sign on paper or to use PDF with all kind of work around the signature. But there are also flamboyant approaches. I had an online extended discussion, controversy around here. Some people were talking about electronically signing the IFC, which I found a lot kind of to embed the electronic signature in the IFC file. It seemed a little bit stupid. In my opinion, it's not stupid, but golden plated, as we say in project management. It's they are not able to deliver properly PDF electronically signed, but they are talking about signing the IFC. I don't know what you think about that, but I don't think the IFC is a proper deliverable, contractual deliverable yet. Kobe, it is, but IFC it's only for is only for coordination. So, but here people speak about delivering IFC like you know, they are born with IFC and they know IFC as good as everybody else, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and it doesn't take into account the fact that you'll have subcontractors that are dealing with one small element of a building, and they're not going to have that expertise or that sign-off thing. They're just people who install doors or people who install windows. They're not likely to have that skill set in-house to be able to go and sign off anything like that. They know everything about doors, but they don't know anything about the general structure of the building.
Yeah. But they could deliver Kobe data about the doors and or whatever they deliver for the building without even knowing that they deliver Kobe data and they are actually involved in a BIM process. But if you ask them to go into an IFC to extract their doors from IFC, then to I don't know, replace the IFC of their doors with the IFC model. I don't know. It's not. I don't think this will ever work. I in the first half of the 21st century, I don't think it will work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So moving on to the next part of the agenda, we've got warranties and post-installation inspections. I don't really have a lot to say on this one, so I don't know whether Dave or Richard has anything to add on the progress of this, or
it leads from that handover side of things that and we've experienced it in the past ourselves, where there'll be a warranty on a specific component, and part of that warranty may stipulate that that component needs to be serviced or inspected every 3 months or something like that. Now, if it takes you 6 months to finally get the data from a new development into your system, and then you realise you've actually should have been inspecting this component, and then it fails, then it's a struggle with insurance companies and a struggle with suppliers, because they can basically fire back at you and say, it's not our fault, you should have inspected that and maintained it during the last 6 months, and you haven't done that. Can't evidence you've done that. So it's once again, it comes down to lack of resources, I think, in a lot of cases, where the importance of having that information as soon as possible so people can act on it, it is unfeasible unless you throw enough resource at it to take that information and put it into a system so that servicing and inspection routines are done within the correct timescales. I don't think there is a quick answer to that. Kobe helps because you can drop that data in, but if Kobe doesn't have information like the maintenance cycles or the inspection cycles in it, then you're going to have to go back into documentation or warranty certificates, which invariably, as Dimitri said earlier on, is that's going to be some sort of signed document, a warranty certificate. It's not data friendly, unfortunately. It does mean that you have to go and check A, that it has got a warranty certificate, and B, what the contractual terms around that warranty are. As anyone that's bought anything from a kettle to a mobile phone knows, if you don't check the warranty and then your phone breaks, and then they'll go back and say, oh, no, sorry, the warranty expired a year ago, and you're stuck with it. And we've all been there, I think, so, I mean, that's probably all I could say on that subject, because I think, as I said, I don't think there is an easy answer to it. a warranty needs a certificate, which is usually a PDF or a scanned, signed document. It's not something that comes as a data-friendly format.
Can I just say something?
Yeah, of course you can.
We've got very few people in this meeting, and that's my fault, because I didn't twig that we were clashing with DCW.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You see, the kind of people with inquiring minds and have an opinion are exactly the profile of people who go to exhibitions. So we normally have a lot more than this in the meeting.
Yeah.
So apologies from me for that. But the meeting is not a waste of time, because as we know, this goes out with high point notes and videos, and those videos are watched. Yeah. So don't feel that what you're saying here, you're talking into thin air, and obviously with you to Dimitri. But don't think that, because it's not the case. It's this is not a waste of time in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
That's why I spend an hour doing my makeup before this meeting, because I know I've got to look good on the video. Yeah.
An hour.
I was just thinking when you were chatting there, Dave, so because what came up in a previous discussion was, for example, lighting is installed quite early on and it's used quite early on. So the warranty, obviously, sometimes it passes while it's still in construction, all of that side of things. Why, just a question, I don't know the answer, but why would when installing something, why would then the warranty, once it's installed and commissioned, why would then the warranty not be sent to the client as opposed to just bundling it in with the handover documentation? Just doing it as it goes, because that's still handover. It's still going to be there, but at least then everyone's a bit more knowledgeable about what's needed. And
and I think you're right. I think it probably requires a process change, because I know, at least in our case, normally the operational teams don't get involved from the start. They invariably get involved maybe 3 months, if we're lucky, 6 months before completion. And often, particularly with development schemes, they start off with one name, and then when they become operational, they then have their life cycle name. And we know, all the different areas of that building, and we add UPRNs to those in order to put them into operational systems. So it's usually only, I would say 3 months before where the operational teams really get involved in it. And normally that is just to cover off what the building is going to be called in its operational use, and then how many flats there are, what the communal spaces are, how many sub blocks there are in that building, and that basic data tends to get put in first in order to assign UPRNs in the asset management operational system. And then at that point, we tend to concentrate more on the key compliance components. So that's gas, electricity, fire safety, etc., because those are the ones that are critical to the building. And it's things like, structural elements and floors and doors and not doors really, but windows and roofs, that sort of stuff gets added at the later stage, because it's not regulatory compliant stuff. It's more maintenance, servicing, inspection stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably, well, at least the answer from our perspective as to why, because we basically don't have something to hang that data on, until it gets to the point that we're now ready to, look at occupying. So
Yeah.
yeah. But it's a good point. In theory, the development team should be looking after that, but they don't necessarily look after that. Yeah.
I guess it goes back to the resourcing as well. You've got someone who needs to
Does
remember and store it and put somewhere. So
yeah.
Thank you for the invitation, and looking forward to see you at the next meeting. I have to go now. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. Thanks, Dimitri.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So
Well,
And then there were four.
yeah. Well, there's three of us. Yeah.
Magis is there somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Well done. Is all I can say. Actually, really well done, you guys. It's a nightmare when this happens, isn't it? But it's going to happen sometimes. And as I say, that was my fault because it shouldn't have been scheduled during DCW. But there you go. Yeah. Even I make a mistake. Well,
funnily enough, I kept getting reminders to pick up my pass for DCW, and because I've basically picked up a new team.